Today, we're jumping into the mindset behind one of the most influential creations of our time. We're going to break down some of the key ideas that can really help anyone out there who's trying to build something new, innovate, or just find a little more meaning in what they do. So let's get right into it. We're going to kick things off with a quote that kind of flips conventional wisdom on its head. In a world that's moving so fast, the one thing you can do that will absolutely guarantee you fail, it's standing still. This idea is the foundation for everything we're about to cover. So for our first section, let's really dig into that. We're going to explore why embracing a little bit of uncertainty isn't just for thrill seekers, but why it's actually an essential strategy for anyone who really wants to make an impact. I mean, this just hammers the point home, right? Taking a risk isn't about being reckless. It's about understanding that doing nothing is also a choice. And you know what? In today's world, it's usually the worst choice you can make. If you want to make progress, you've got to move, and that always involves some risk. Okay, so building on that idea of taking action, we've got to talk about one of the biggest roadblocks for any creator. It's this myth, this idea that brilliant ideas just show up in a sudden flash of genius. You know the one I'm talking about, the Eureka moment. We've all seen it in the movies, right? The lightning bolt of inspiration, where a perfect, world-changing idea just pops into someone's head. It makes for a great story, but honestly, it's incredibly misleading. And here's why that myth is so damaging. It sets this impossible standard for all of us. When we just sit around waiting for that perfect idea to hit us, we usually end up waiting forever. We convince ourselves that the little seed of an idea we already have just isn't good enough to even start. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question for anyone trying to build something. If we just toss that myth out the window, what does the real process of innovation actually look like? And the beautiful thing is how simple the real answer is. The real path isn't magic, it's a process. You start with something small, something imperfect, you just work on it. And it's through that process of building and trying things out that the idea really starts to take shape. Clarity comes from doing the work, not from waiting around. You've probably heard this one before. This famous motto was reportedly all over the walls at Facebook, and it captures this idea perfectly. It's such a powerful reminder that just making progress is so much more valuable than chasing perfection. Getting something good out there that you can improve on later is way better than keeping a perfect idea locked away in your head forever. And this leads us right into our next big theme. Because if you're going to act before an idea is perfect, well, you have to be willing to get things wrong. We really need to completely change how we think about failure. This is such a critical insight. Real innovation, the truly big stuff, it doesn't happen in a place where mistakes are punished. It happens where mistakes are seen for what they are, just necessary steps on the path to getting it right. And the proof is absolutely everywhere. Just look at this list. Behind every huge success story is a long history of attempts, experiments, and, total failures. Facebook wasn't the first thing Mark Zuckerberg built. It was just the one that finally worked after a whole bunch of other tries. Success is a numbers game. So it all comes down to this. You have to create a space, whether it's for yourself or for your team, where it's easy to try lots of new things. The goal isn't to never fail. It's to fail quickly, learn what you can, and then take another shot. Okay, so we've talked about the how, taking risks, starting messy, and failing forward. But now let's pivot to what might be the most important part of all, the why. What is it that drives all of this effort in the first place? This comes from that incredible story about President Kennedy visiting NASA. He's touring the facility, and he asks a janitor what he's doing. And that was his reply. This guy wasn't just sweeping a floor. He was part of a historic mission. That right there, that's the power of purpose. Purpose is what connects our small, everyday tasks to some huge, meaningful goal. It's that feeling that what you do actually matters, that you're a necessary piece of a much bigger puzzle. And honestly, it's what gets you through the really hard days. And this is the ultimate reward. Because while success can feel good, it's purpose that brings that deep, lasting sense of fulfillment. It shifts the entire goal from just building a company to actually making a real impact. And this slide shows that idea being put to the ultimate test. Imagine this. Zuckerberg's entire management team walks out after he refuses to sell Facebook. He chose the mission over a massive payday. He really believed that connecting people was a higher purpose. And that belief carried him through a time when he was, in his own words, completely alone. So all of this, the risk, the creation, the failure, the purpose, it all leads to that one giant question, doesn't it? After building something that connects billions of people, what's the big takeaway from it all? And the answer is surprisingly simple. It all comes back to human connection, building things that bring people together, that help us understand each other, that create communities. That seems to be the core driver, the ultimate why behind all the work. We'll end with this. It's a line Zuckerberg shared during his Harvard commencement speech. It's just a powerful call to action. It takes all these ideas, risk, purpose, connection, and turns them into a kind of personal mission. It suggests that it's not just about building things. It's about finding the courage to build a life that actually serves others. A life that becomes a blessing.